I was just in Ireland, and I bought a Captain America graphic novel that I have in 3 other formats already. And I was excited about it. And I just told you about it because I'm excited to own it, even though I read it a bunch of times and already have it in many other formats. And I got excited to have that version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you feel that way about your books? Yeah? Do you like the hunt? You like getting different things? Yeah. Then buy the comics.
Yeah.
When you don't have that love for it, when you don't feel like that, don't buy them. I'm never a fan of people buying comics out of attrition. Only buy it when you want to. But if you want to, buy it, read it, own it, read it again, love it, read it again.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. I still approve, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. It gets hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal.
Dal.
W. Dal Bush.
Welcome to Contest of Challengers. I am Heidi, and with me, as always, is Josh. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heidi. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Josh and Heidi, for filling in last week. It was lovely of you to do so.
A thing I definitely knew before you said that. I mean, people definitely think that I don't listen to the podcast ever or pay attention when I'm on it. But, Patrick, I am super knowledgeable about it and into all the details.
So, after listening to it, you reminded me of a story that I can tell that's not similar, but based off of one of the many stories Heidi told.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm familiar, but why don't you repeat it for people who maybe don't have memory that I have?
I'm just gonna tell the story.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do. I mean, we all listened to last week's episode, so we all know the lead-in. But when I was younger, I've worked in the comics industry, and I mean on the creative side. I've inked books for most major publishers. But my books for Marvel and DC, I was always an assistant, so I never got credit.
Uncredited Patrick.
But I got credit for books for Image and IDW and Boom. I think I did most of my work for Boom Studios and a smaller company named Grio. But anyway, when I was young and on a family vacation to New Jersey, and an avid art person who was drawing superheroes all the time in his free time, usually on the back of stationery from my dad's office.
Sure, smart.
So it would have like the reverse indentation of the company logo.
You couldn't work that into the character's design?
No, because it was up in the right-hand corner because it flipped over. Anyway, my dad one day said, "Hey, I'm going to take you into the city and we're going to go to some publishers and have them evaluate your work."
Nice.
So we were going specifically to DC Comics. Now, my quote-unquote portfolio, because it was just an envelope full of drawings.
You were a child, yes.
was entirely Marvel Comics characters.
Sure.
So I thought, oh man, I really need to do a DC character. And the DC character I chose to work on freshly that night to display to the DC talent editor was, of course, any guesses?
Blue Devil.
Amethyst.
Oh, Amethyst.
Blue Devil didn't exist at this point.
I thought maybe you made Blue Devil up. I don't know. Amethyst, the Princess of Gemworld?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I worked on
the Brian Bendis, Amy Reeder character? Wow. All right.
definitely not. The Ernie Colon character.
Oh, okay.
And long story short, I met with Sal Amendola, who was a high-up-ranking DC official, and he was very kind, very patient.
Your pal, Sal.
My art was just pinups. It wasn't sequential art. It wasn't anything serious.
That's what a lot of kids do, though.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And all it was just me looking at pictures and redrawing them.
Which is, again, what a lot of
kids do. So he, I mean, this podcast isn't about that, but he gave me a lot of advice, and it was my first portfolio review.
Nice.
And that is when I learned a valuable lesson from my father after it's all said and done.
Don't draw amethyst.
He's like, now, you follow up with him. When you get home, you write him a letter thanking him for his time, and you stay in touch with him.
Sure.
And what happened? He's now dead.
Do you think it's a cause
Which one, Dal? Which one? Both of them. And Amethyst.
Wow, yeah, God, you're a real
Amethyst is
you're a
not
real
dead.
Grim Reaper out
She's
here.
not dead.
God.
So there you go, Heidi. A little Amethyst story for you.
So thank you, Heidi and Josh.
Let's talk about something that's impacting literally everyone who owns a comic book shop in the United States.
How late it gets, how early it gets, how dark it gets. I don't like it. I don't like it being like 4:30 in the afternoon and it's pitch black outside. I dislike that intensely.
You're exaggerating.
Pitch black.
It was-
I've seen it.
I was going to say
You were
how
in another
much,
country. You don't
Yeah.
know what it's like in America, Patrick.
It,
As an American.
the sun rises at 8:30 in Ireland and sets at 4. So you shut your
I'm sorry,
mouth.
4, or do you mean 16? Goddamn Europeans.
16.
Goddamn Europeans.
You don't know how good you had it with the daylight here. I was
We
looking
didn't
at
have any, so
I
I'll
was
take
looking
your
out my
word for it.
window today at 5:15 thinking, that's amazing. It's light outside.
I think you're still on Irish time. 5:15.
It's just American
It's
time,
Like 2
but
in the
drunk.
afternoon here.
Diamond Comics,
Oh,
Dal.
my goodness.
Diamond Comic Distribution.
Patrick, we've got 3 main distributors we get our comics from, and inevitably one of them is causing us heartache
Yep.
and stomach ache.
And bank ache.
Uh-huh.
So we mentioned this briefly a few weeks ago that Diamond was consolidating warehouses, meaning closing the Plattsburgh one, which is where all of our new comics came out of.
Where most people's new comics came out from is my understanding is that was like the kind of weekly turnover new comic warehouse.
I mean, it wasn't always that way, but I think since the
Olive
pandemic-
Branch, I think they really kind of shifted. It felt like the identity of the 2 different warehouses, so that Olive Branch is more of the like, these are where reorders come from. Like when Diamond has stock of something, back stock, it would be an Olive Branch, and then the Olive Branch would essentially have to get it to Plattsburgh if it was being shipped with your weekly orders.
Yeah.
But now everything is just coming out of Olive Branch, which means Olive Branch has to become the new this week product, weekly turnover stuff, in addition to all of the backstock stuff, which it doesn't feel like that was how that warehouse was originally designed.
You know, earlier in a time period of Facebook retailer messenger boards and groups and things,
Messenger boards.
when you
go
were
on.
talking about a thing, you would say, like if you have an issue with Diamond, you would state your issue and then always put your warehouse afterwards, so everybody else geographically could see how you compare to what they're getting from
that's
their
interesting.
warehouses and
Okay.
whatnot. Now you don't got to do that.
No,
There's one.
there's even stuff when you're placing a reorder, they have a lot of different options as to how you want your stuff shipped out, or like, do you want it to come from a warehouse or do you want it to get packed with your regular stuff? And now it's like, none of that matters.
Nope.
Like everything is coming out of Olive Branch. So the idea of it coming with your weekly stuff or not with your weekly stuff is like, it's just Olive Branch, man. Like, you guys figure it out.
So we talked recently about how we'd get these mystery boxes from Diamond in by UPS with mainly what we call now replenishment orders, but just toys and mainly non-comics.
Mhm.
And it would show up before we're invoiced for it. So we either have to wait until it exists in the system so we could log it in automatically,
Yeah,
or
but like we would need
do
a,
it by hand.
a CSV file, which they did not have up on their site yet. So yeah, or individually, item by item, log them in through Managed Comics, which is possible but time consuming.
and annoying.
It
And-
really is.
Oh man, speaking of annoying, you know what else we're getting tomorrow?
No.
Southern Hobby.
Soho. There's new Yu-Gi-Oh cards coming out. There's probably a guy that's going to call tomorrow at some point and ask if you have the new Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So just tell him yes, because he's been buying a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards from us.
What if we don't have them?
Then say no, and we don't have
Okay,
them
but
yet.
you said just tell him yes. Why don't I just answer it properly?
I guess that could be a way to do it, is giving a correct answer instead of just an affirmative answer.
Just say yeah,
Interesting.
and then he comes in and we don't have it. He's like, what happened? I'm like,
Huh.
somebody bought them. I thought that were you.
Huh.
So getting off topic,
Hmm.
tomorrow we're getting deliveries of literally everything.
Yeah, you're getting...
Probably a real, like Ingram will show up tomorrow too because he placed an Ingram reorder.
I didn't see Ingram shipping out anything yet, so I don't think you're going to get Ingram.
we got billed.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
They didn't send out... Oh, yeah, maybe then.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're sending out. I hope they're sending out everything I need. Simon & Schuster you're probably going to get?
You bitch. We're getting everything
pretty much
tomorrow.
everything tomorrow. I feel bad for... I think, is everything coming UPS?
Me. The answer to that is me.
I feel bad for you, for sure. But I usually feel bad for you. So it should go without saying at this point.
Okay, then you can feel worse for me.
I do.
Thank you.
I feel worse for you in this one Friday instance, yeah, it super sucks, dude. I'm sorry.
I
You won't
haven't
like.
had a full day back to do all the things that need to get done,
It's true.
and I won't have that tomorrow.
You won't like hearing this, but you are welcome to leave anything you want in the back hallway, and I'll just crack it open on Sunday.
The back hallway.
Or wherever you want to put it. I don't know. I just thought that'd be out of your way.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of leaving.
Then put it under
Sure.
a table or in a corner or something.
I mean, it depends. Obviously, Saturday is going to be
Slammed.
super busy,
Slammed.
and even part of Friday is going to be setting up for all that. And I have to
Right.
get in extra early to go to Dark Matter and get the coffee, and then get everything set up so we can open an hour early for just the families of
Pulaski.
that one.
Mhm.
Casimir Pulaski, just his descendants. It's a limited amount of people that come in, but they're all still very proud of their heritage.
Is it his day?
I didn't ask him.
I don't know. I don't remember when Casimir Pulaski Day was.
It's like January 18th.
We used to get. I mean, that was always the thing we'd get off at school. That was a day off. Casimir Pulaski Day.
Yeah, and I think that took the place of MLK Day.
I don't know what. I mean, when I was a kid, it was just a day off of school, and it was
Yeah.
Casimir Pulaski Day, and no one ever bothered explaining why we were getting the day off. Just that we were, and it's like, great, I love it.
They did. You didn't
God
listen
bless
in
you,
school.
Casimir Pulaski, whoever you might have been.
I believe he was well known for his ditching school abilities.
Oh,
So rather
that is
than
something to celebrate.
confront him, they just said, "What if we just give you a day?"
Without even knowing who he was, I walked in his footsteps.
That's right. Usually to the comic store, so thanks for that.
Hey.
So with Diamond, what they were doing, as Dal had explained in a previous podcast, is normally they would send the replenishment books, the replenishment items, the toys and the merchandise, to Plattsburgh to ship with everything else. But since they were shutting Plattsburgh down, they just started shipping that stuff directly to us before it was in the system.
Right.
But now they're not shipping the comics from Plattsburgh. They spent the last couple of weeks closing that warehouse and transferring everything over to
Olive Branch.
Olive Branch, only they didn't, and it was way more work than I expected, and it was a holiday and things were harder to do. So they just kind of
And also, from what they were telling us, some of the shipments that were supposed to go to Olive Branch from publishers were mistakenly routed to Plattsburgh, which is no longer open.
yeah.
So then they had to then get stuff to a completely different state during a holiday weekend. And then they were having computer problems, so invoices were not being generated correctly or at all.
So technically, the Diamond order that's showing up tomorrow
Yeah.
is this week's books.
However,
Not.
yeah, what we've learned over the years is that if you can't have stuff on the shelves on Wednesday, when your largest amount of customers come in looking for new products, don't bother putting them out until the next Wednesday. Because you're either going to have to keep them out anyway.
So everybody gets a fair shot,
yeah,
right?
or people are going to miss it, and then you're going to have to go, oh no, this came in Friday, and then they were only in the New This Week section for 4 days, or whatever. So it's better to just leave them until the next Friday. And now that's easier said than done when it comes to big titles. If we were shorted or had not received Absolute Superman #2 on Wednesday and it came in Friday, we would not hold that till the
Yeah,
next
we
Wednesday.
go over the shelf immediately.
It would immediately go out. We pull it for subscribers, put it on the shelves. We probably do like a social media post saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. There were problems.
Wow.
Absolute Superman's out. But, and this is going to sound mean, but that's only because it is. The stuff that we're getting in from Diamond is from publishers that most people have no idea when that stuff comes out and are not in any hurry for it.
Most people can wait for these things.
Yeah. Boom, Dynamite, Titan.
It does mean 2 issues of Powerpuff Girls on the same day, though.
Yeah, and I feel bad because Daniel Kibblesmith just sent an email about his holiday special.
Yeah.
It's on stands, and it's like, well, it's not on the stands because most people in the United States were not getting their Diamond stuff until way later in the week. So yeah, that stuff, we'll start pulling it for subscribers probably Sunday or Monday, probably Monday. So they'll have it by Monday, but then whatever remains will go on the shelves on Wednesday,
yeah.
December 11th. So it'll be a gigantic Wednesday.
And
in terms of sheer content, but that's just because this week in particular, December 4th was very low because basically we didn't get anything from Diamond. Everything we had was from either Lunar or Penguin Random House, which means it's just those publishers. I'm trying to think of we had maybe a tiny stack of Diamond stuff that had rolled in the previous week that was going on the shelves. If anything, maybe nothing.
well, just stuff.
No, I mean comics. There were definitely toys. There's always pop finals. There's always a dozen.
Now
pop
there are
finals.
no pop finals next week.
Whew. maybe someone will come in and buy some of the ones we've gotten over the last few weeks, and that would be great. Yeah, it's not ideal, and again, we've just got through with Lunar being a gigantic pain in the ass, and now getting things sort of leveled out, and now Diamond has been its version of a giant pain in the ass. Thankfully, again,
I like you say sort of leveled out for Lunar. When did you get it last week?
we got Friday.
And the week before that was Tuesday?
Yeah, like this
That's still too much
the
of
previous week, the Thanksgiving week, we got it Tuesday for the next day's release.
Yeah.
And then we got it Friday for the following Wednesday's release.
I cannot tell you how messed up I was last week because last Wednesday,
for real.
this week's book showed up.
Yeah.
And then I went away for a week. And then when I came back and worked the Wednesday, it was the day those books went on sale.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, all these books came in last week. Why are people buying them now? Oh, no, they came in a week early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm like, I was gone for a week. These shouldn't be new anymore.
I got to knock on wood because the one publisher or the one distributor that we haven't really had much of a problem with in the most recent days has been Penguin Random House, who
we have different trouble. We have different trouble with them.
it's true. They have not been causing us any particular problems. The thing that they did that was really great was that they got us our product for the following week on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, which was a full week in advance. So instead of getting it Friday during Black Friday, which we were able to deal with for Lunar, but other stores probably were not, for the Penguin Random House stuff, we got it the Wednesday before, which means we had tons of time to crack it open, check everything in, make sure everything was good.
Read all new Venom.
We couldn't report any damages until Sunday, so there's a few things and a couple variant covers that we just
That was
didn't
because
have.
of the changeover of the month, not because of...
Correct. That's just
when
how
you got it
Penguin
for the
Random House
week.
does it.
Yeah.
We could have tried to email somebody, although their offices were closed, so I don't know who would have read it. And nothing was going to ship out of the warehouse
I
because the
assume
warehouse
their
was closed.
offices are closed the entire month of December and half of January
we'll
for holidays.
See. I know that's been a thing in years past where they get a lot of days off for December, and rightly so. I mean, people should get days off as much as they need. But yeah, the problem is there's no one around to kind of do any of the, like, we need to get, like, if on a normal week, if we had gotten damages on a Wednesday for the following Wednesday's release days, we would have reported it immediately. The replacements probably would have come in the following Monday or Tuesday before release. Everything's fine, no big deal. With reporting them on Sunday, that means they don't come in as replacements until Thursday, maybe Friday. And that means that, yeah, day of release, you're not going to have that all-new Venom variant cover or a few different variants that people had pre-ordered that just we didn't get enough undamaged copies of. But Penguin Random House has been really good about getting us books in time for things. And I expect that to continue through December as holidays hit. And 2 consecutive release days are on Wednesdays that are holidays. So they'll probably do a pretty good job about getting us our stuff.
Specifically for Challengers, it will be a Thursday release day and then a Wednesday release day.
Marvel sent out an email saying that January 2nd is the release date.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase what I just said.
Uh-huh.
Specifically for Challengers, it'll be Thursday release date, and I don't give a shit Wednesday release date.
Whoa, okay. Well said.
I'm not going to be open on New Year's Day and not on a Wednesday not have the new books that we have.
No, of course not. There's no reason for it.
Yeah. People don't want to come in, they don't have to. But people do want to come in, they're getting their new books.
I do want to go in.
Oh, good. I don't want to, so it's all you.
Okay.
No, you know what? I don't trust you.
Really?
I can't trust you.
I thought I just proved myself to be increasingly trustworthy over the last week.
How would I know that? I wasn't
Smooth
here.
sailing. No
It
one
could've
had to
been-
get back on a plane and come back to the United States because of something I did.
Nobody's going to.
I only had a mild stress each night that I had forgotten to do something or accidentally done something that would burn the entire store down.
But I mean,
But I
look,
didn't do those things. I only worried about them.
I greatly appreciate all the work you did while I was gone.
You're welcome.
And you did have to cover for me on Friday.
I chose to cover for you.
But you didn't have, well, there was no one else who was going to do it, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't, like, there shouldn't have been extra stress at nights.
No, not because of you, just because of my own
Like, did you
anxieties
have
and
that
neuroses.
anxiety and neuroses?
sorry?
Did you have those every day then?
No, because I just assume that you'll take care of it. This is a situation of like, oh, there's no one but me.
Oh yeah, the few times there have been alarm-related issues
Uh-huh.
that I've taken care of and told you about after the fact.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, I thought something was up.
Uh-huh. I assumed you would take care of it. I believed in you. I don't believe in me.
I do remember how one time I was out of town
Mhm.
and got a call from the alarm company. I'm like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
You have to call.
Call the next person on
Yeah.
the list. Jesus.
Yeah, well, that wound up being George because you don't answer. And now George doesn't. Well, George is off the list now. So,
Sure.
Because he doesn't answer either.
Hmm.
But he used to.
Yeah.
So as Diamond smooths out,
Mm-hmm.
everything will get better, hopefully. But it's weird to have, and I can't say, I was going to say, you know what? I should just finish a sentence before I start talking about the next one.
No.
Also, what just happened to my voice? Why is my voice going out? I was going to say it's weird to have a new release week without anything from Diamond, but we did have a bunch of stuff from Diamond, the stuff that came up late from last week.
Right.
But it was mainly Bleacher Buddies and
Yeah.
toys. I'm gonna clear my throat. Hold on.
And
I don't think it helped at all.
the funny thing is that we're talking about the amount of Diamond stuff as though it was this trickle instead of a flood like it usually is for comics. And it's like, no, it's pretty much every week the amount of Diamond comic books that go on their shelves. It's maybe like a 3-inch high stack. It's not a lot of stuff. It's not the boxes of stuff that we put out for Penguin Random House and Lunar. So when there's no Diamond new comics for the week, I don't think most people notice. And I don't think our bottom line notices either.
It's just that Friday is a perfect example of what's wrong with the comics industry now.
Sure.
Everything coming on the same day, when you can argue and say, well, it used to come that way. No, it didn't. Reorders didn't always come on Fridays. We'd rig it so they come a different day.
Yeah, and certainly there's something to be said about the fact of what we used to get was everything from one distributor coming on a day, which means it's all packed as concisely as possible.
Yeah.
But this is 3 different vendors, which is 3 different individual
I don't
shipments.
think it's an exaggeration to say that if you look at the packaging involved in all these shipments, that a solid hour will have been spent opening and flattening boxes.
It feels that way
Opening
for
boxes,
sure.
taking boxes out, cutting up all the packing material, flattening the boxes, throwing the boxes away. Granted, it's not done in one block of time.
Nope.
But it is such a time suck. Just the packaging alone.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm advocating for
Less packaging?
shittier packaging.
No, thanks.
No, I am advocating for less packaging. I think there's ways to do it without the phenomenal amounts of bubble wrap.
I hope you're
show
right.
up in
I don't
these.
know if that's true, though, because I know Penguin Random House had spent years devising different methods that were faster and less wasteful, and all they did was ruin the comics. So they had to go back to the old way of doing it, which is the most like cumbersome and wasteful way of doing it.
Yeah,
But the alternative was all the books got damaged.
But look at how Diamond's done it for years.
Yeah.
They're not wrapping the inner boxes with bubble wrap and then putting like in between them and the outer boxes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get a ton of comics from Diamond anymore, so it's hard to say if that's necessary or
the
unnecessary.
way Diamond's done it historically.
Right, but previously we would always pick those boxes up. So we never really saw what it looked like when they would do a Gutbuster that was just comic books via UPS.
The exact same way.
No,
No different.
Right, but we didn't.
Oh, you mean the quality of the books?
Right,
on the
we didn't see
inside.
what it looked like on the inside when you open it.
Hey man, how do you think those books got to the warehouse?
On pallets usually, and that's a different thing than if it's being tossed around on the back of a truck.
Sure.
People who were always getting Diamond UPS deliveries can probably tell stories about like the books weren't great; they'd get damaged all the time. I think Lunar, as much as I hate unpacking Lunar stuff and as wasteful as it can seem with all the bubble wrap, Lunar books are usually the most pristine of any distributor we get from. It's Lunar, usually Penguin Random House, except for a few times where it's like all 10 copies of this book are screwed up. Every one of our incentive variants is screwed up because you didn't put them in any packaging and they're just in a stack of stuff in a box. And then Diamond-ish is kind of on the level of Penguin Random House, but a little bit lower sometimes. But we don't get enough comics for it to really matter.
I think that Diamond and PRH are mostly equal, but as you said, it doesn't really matter that much anymore.
I really do wish that Penguin Random House would start bagging and boarding at least 1 in 50 variants. And
yeah.
up.
It would also be a good indicator of that it was a 1 in 50.
Yeah, I mean, and coinciding with that, I would really like it if Marvel would start putting creator credits for the cover artists on the front of their books.
Yeah,
so
the
what I'm
same way
getting
DC does. Yeah.
6 different random all-new Venom variants by creators I don't know by eyesight. Chris Jeruso, I got that one. Scan, I don't know who Scan is. I don't know what a Scan cover looks like. And then, like, usually the trick is like, well, scan it. Scan the Scan cover. Like, check the barcode to find out. But it's like, okay, I can usually do that when that's in the system. None of these are in the system yet. I'm still taking them out of the box.
And also, you shouldn't have to go through these extra steps.
I seriously shouldn't. Like, with a DC variant cover, it says 1 in 25 whatever artist variant cover. Perfect. That's a 1 in 25 variant. This gets set aside, it gets bagged, gets priced, it goes on the shelf. Every Marvel variant is just, I don't know. Here's somebody.
DCs have the ratios on the covers?
They do. They put it in the little creator credit on the barcode. I love it.
I don't think I noticed that because I can always tell who the artist is.
I know. It's
by reading their last name on the barcode.
Unbelievably helpful and very fast. And like,
I hope that's part of the comment standard.
I don't think that's a standard that they could have, is defining what goes on the cover. The data, sure. But like what goes on the cover, that's up to each publisher. That said, let me turn it around and complain about something for DC covers. Boy, I hate their new barcodes. Oh my God, do I hate them.
Yeah.
If I'm scanning a bunch of DC books, there's at least 3 times that I will have to rescan something because the barcode scanner did not catch the very thin barcode.
So let me tell you how this plays out over the scope of retail through the industry. The only people that have problems with that are Shopify people who have to use the PopSocket scanners.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I haven't tried using the old plug-in scanner on them.
Everybody else they're fine with it.
Yeah.
But since we are relegated to that specific model, and it is like the old barcode scanners.
Or they could make the barcodes just a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
They could do that.
The old barcode scanner is a really thin line, and this is a thick line that scans. And I have noticed now that we talked about this, I think, a while ago, that you can't scan the barcodes upside down anymore.
No, not for the DC books.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good design look, but it's a bad functionality.
Yeah, and I don't know that it, as a design look, I mean, what's it buying you? Like another
couple centimeters, man.
3 millimeters of cover space in the bottom left-hand corner or right-hand corner? Who cares?
Yeah, so not looking forward to the next 2 days of the store.
Sorry, Patrick. As opposed to normally when you're always looking forward to them.
Sorry, I was looking ahead.
Oh, no.
I'm loving it. No, I was reminiscing about the last week and how I didn't have to think about any of this shit.
It's true. I'm sorry I had to come back to it.
It's now time to thank our Patreon supporters, including our annual patrons, Usi Arun Singh, Becca Hilburn and Joseph Coco, Bren Helt, Dal's mom Diane Bush, President of the Brian Garside Fan Club, Django Borin, Jose and Genevieve Villagomez, Josh Crowley of Westfield Comics, our bestest wrestling watching pal, Michael Lee, Michael Romanenko, Severio the Cat, our patrons who have created their own tier, Andrew, Drew Troy Aaliyah, Chris Burton, Claudine Neville, our other generous patrons from the Say My Name pledge level, Ben-Hur Benedict Calaguas, Manage Comics Own, Brian Garside, Christopher Haith of Crooked Dog Comics, Drew Triner and Ashley Edwards, Gareth from Monkey Rocks Comics, my brother George Brower, Heidi D, Holly Aitchison, Jacob Sorelli of Kamikaze, Josh Trigg, Mark Hammond of Aw Yeah Comics, Margie, Keith, Logan, and Malcolm Springham, Matt Armstrong, Mitchell Davies of All-Star Comics in Melbourne, Australia, Morgan Kaiju Perry, Nicholas Fenner, my longtime pal Robert Burns, Ron Payne, Sean Bowers, Tad Eggleston and Johnny Williams, Thomas Nagovin of Century Guild, Walt Grogan, Walt's Comic Shop from Berlin, Germany, And if you want to hear your name thanked on this very podcast once a month, head over to patreon.com/challengers and pledge at the $5 Say My Name level. And a big thank you to all our other patrons at the various other pledge levels. I was asked a few times, if you could stay here longer, how many more days would you stay in this city?
All of them.
I don't know about that. I can't afford it. I did.
But
stay
isn't
in
that
my
part of the
budget.
question, if you could?
No. This was specifically on this trip.
Oh, I see.
How many more days would you want to do the rest of the things you wanted to do?
What was your answer?
A couple.
Just 2 days?
A couple of days. So, yes, I was in Ireland last week, specifically in Dublin, and then Cloudjordan, Tipperary, which is basically the center of the country and very, very rural, and then Dublin again. And while I could talk endlessly about my trip, I will try to limit this to a comics industry business podcast because I went and visited a bunch of comic stores.
Oh, nice. That means your trip's a write-off.
Sure. I mean, that's the whole reason I went.
And that's why we're doing this podcast, so you can write off your trip.
Nice. No, I went because it was the wedding of Challengers reservist Fallon Mackerlane and Pamela O'Leary, and I was invited, so I went thanks to a insurance.
Financial windfall.
I'm not. Windfall is too positive a word.
A financial breeze fall.
Thanks to the my cut of my late father's insurance,
Thanks to blood money.
I was able to go on this trip. And I have been to the UK before, but never to Ireland.
No.
And luckily for me, I know John and Bruno from Big Bang Comics in Dublin. And they were amazing hosts and guides. I saw them for both parts of my Dublin trip.
Because it was like Dublin and then wedding and then Dublin.
Yeah.
The sandwich. They were the
Yeah.
bread.
A quick side note about Cloudjordan. Cloudjordan, like I said, is roughly in the middle of the country. And it was a 2-hour train from, not one train, but multiple trains, but 2 hours train ride from Dublin to Cloudjordan.
How was the train ride?
And smooth. Yeah, the trains there are clean and great. They
That's
all have
great.
charging capabilities.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, you can plug stuff in.
Now you're talking my language. Tell
Yeah.
me more about the train ride. Why have I not heard about this before? You and I talked about your trip at length.
So there's
And
trams.
I'm just now finding out about your 2-hour each-way train ride.
There's trams that
Asshole.
go around the city, as well as buses.
And the trams look so cool, man.
yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. There's a red line and a green line. And
Again, Chicago, you're speaking my language.
while we were calling them trams, locals call them the Lewis.
I'm not
You get
calling
on the
that.
Lewis.
That's where you lose me.
And so here's the unique thing about that. They've got these little tap stations. You get your Leap card, which is your venture card,
Yeah, it's a good name.
to load it. And it's also a frog is their symbol.
Fine, great.
Load it when you need to, right? But so there's these rounded, they're on a pole, looks like an old parking meter,
Okay.
like the kind with the little flip handle.
Yeah, I can
So-
visualize it.
You walk up to the bus stop or the tram stop you want,
Mhm.
and you tap it.
With your Leap card?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you get on the bus or the tram
So you don't tap it on the bus or
Correct.
tram, you tap it on the
at
thing?
the station.
Huh.
But here's what else you do. You tap it when you get off.
Oh.
And that is the length of your trip,
oh.
and that knows how much to charge you. If you don't tap it when you get off,
They assume you went to the end of the line.
you get the maximum.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So I didn't know about that. So there's a couple of mistakes that were made. I didn't know about the tap when you get off. But here's the best part, the dumbest part.
Uh-huh.
When a tram or Lewis pulls up, you got to push a button on the door to get it to open. Otherwise, it thinks nobody wants to get on or get off.
Really?
So
Wait, is there no driver?
no, but I mean, they're max. It's like a train. There's many cars.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you can get on at each car.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. And I mean, in my head,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about this
a tram
I-
is the train, but it's pulled. It's
because for us in
runs
Chicago,
across the current along the top.
yeah, for us in Chicago, if it's a bus, you can only get on at the front,
Yeah.
and the bus driver opens the door if they see somebody there, and then you get on. You can get off through either the front or the middle
Buses
door.
are like that.
trains in Chicago, the CTA, when they stop at a station, they open every door in every car automatically.
Yeah.
If there's someone there or not there, because they don't know who needs to get on or off, so they get to the station, they open all the doors. So you never, when you're on the CTA, you never have to say, I want to get on or off.
One thing about Ireland specifically is that they're very much about conservation of energy. Every outlet has an on-off switch.
Oh, yeah.
If you plug your cord into the outlet and don't turn the outlet on, you get no power.
Wow. How long did that take you to figure
That was immediate.
out? Okay.
So anyway, I'm waiting for the Lewis. It shows up and I'm right there. I'm like, this door isn't opening. And there's a girl next to me that just says, "What is even going on?" And I'm not doing her accent. And she just reaches over and pushes it. And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you had to push the button."
She thought you were just in her way.
Yeah, just a very good
push the button, dummy.
But it was very much in, like, she
What
was,
is even
she was
going
older
on?
than like a teenager, but she sounded like, "What is even going on?" And the same thing at the stop, you have to push it to open to get out.
Interesting. Yeah, I would not have
Yeah.
thought of that.
Yeah. So I laughed at that a lot on that trip.
What is even going on?
What is even going on? That is the title of this
I
episode.
love it. But anyway, so you were talking about the trams, but the train ride was good?
Yeah, it's comfortable. Okay, so let me go back to the trams.
Okay.
They are, for the most part,
I am more dialed in on this than I've ever been on anything on this podcast.
packed.
Sure.
Like, claustrophobic packed.
Did you get to sit down at all? No?
Barely.
Yeah.
Once or twice.
I don't love that. Was this like middle of the day?
All times of the day.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Also, but I mean,
Interesting.
we were there on a holiday weekend.
Their holiday or your holiday?
Black Friday is a sales day.
Black Friday. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. Oof, yeah.
Here's the thing about pubs. Everything closes earlier than you expect.
Okay.
Pubs and restaurants are closed by like 9:30. Some stay open till 11.
That's not super early.
But you can find
I mean,
Chicago,
look,
things close at 2.
a bar, yeah, I assume
2
it's
to
going to be
4.
open later. But like a pub, I think of more as a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I would assume a lot of restaurants close by 10 o'clock.
I
here in
had made a
Chicago.
joke about when we were going out Friday night with John and Bruno. I'd said we can't stay out late because we've got to be on an 8 o'clock train.
Mhm.
The shitty thing about getting to Cloud Jordan is that our options were an 8 a.m. train that got us there at 10, or a 10 a.m. train that got us in there at 4.
Ooh, where
Because-
do the extra hours go?
Stops. Many stops.
Oh, yeah.
We only had
So the early one's the
a couple
express.
stops. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't straight, but we had to transfer still.
Sure.
When we transferred, like, the trains got smaller, and when we got out in Cloud Jordan, it was a single building station that there was no way to get into the
No
station.
doors. It's insane.
And it rained the whole time we were there for the most part, so like everything was just gravel and wet. And fine, you get wet, but luckily, like, for that short trip, I just had a shoulder bag.
Sure.
But you know, your shoes get full of mud,
Yeah,
your pant
it's-
cuffs get full of mud.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
That's why people
You're
live in
going
cities.
to a wedding for that afternoon. Had we gone for the later train, we would have missed the wedding because it was 3 o'clock wedding.
Yeah, probably not what you want to do when you've flown all the way to
Yeah.
a different country.
So we
Is
got
this
in
the event that you flew there for?
with basically 4 hours before we're even allowed to check in. We walked the 2 kilometers to the venue,
Oh, kilometers. Look
And-
at you.
yeah.
How European.
and they're like, "You can leave your bags here, but you can't stay because there's a wedding going on right now."
Oh.
Basically, the day before, but
Sure.
the following day.
Sure.
So we're like, all right, we're just going to wander the town. The town is not very big, and it had a cafe, had breakfast. We went to the library. We went to the library because I'm like, look, there's stools and let's go sit down. But they had a whole bunch of chess
Good
boards
eye.
set up. So I'm like, let's play chess. So we started playing chess, and my chess strategy is this: I will sacrifice every piece for an equal value piece.
Okay.
And I just want to strip the board down to as fewest pieces as possible and then see what happens.
Okay.
However,
very aggressive strategy.
I also immediately realized I could cheat because on the bottom of the table,
Mhm.
there was an extra queen. So I gladly sacrificed my queen.
Uh-huh.
And then when the queen was being removed off the board, I immediately replaced the queen. Now, in fairness, I said, I was never going to, like, if anyone made a move to the queen, I'd say, never mind, I'm just joking.
Mm-hmm.
But I was told, no, I was factoring that queen into my moves and, like, not doing things I would have done had that space been open.
Sure.
Anyway, we wound up evacuating that game because it was the middle of a chess club,
Oh, no.
and we had just taken an open board,
Oops.
and it was a bunch of little kids learning chess.
Oh, man.
So the fun part of Cloud Jordan as a village is that we ran into 5 different people, unrelated to each other, that at one point had lived in Chicago.
That's so weird.
Here's a statistic about Ireland. The population of Ireland has just hit over 5 million,
Okay.
which is huge for them.
For them, probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the amount of Irish people in other parts of the world is 140 million.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very dispersed.
I'm getting off topic. I'm just talking more about Ireland in general.
All I want to hear about is Calvert.
I'm not going to talk about Calvert now. It's too long of a story.
Calvert could be like this podcast Rizzler, Patrick. It could be what everyone tunes in for.
We met a child named Calvert who was very, very curious about every single thing we were doing.
Inquisitive.
Everybody, I was the belle of the ball wherever I went because, any reason, any guesses? All my tattoos.
That's true.
It's not that I have a million tattoos like everybody else does.
Growing all the time.
It's that they're always visible.
It's true.
Most
You
people
wear a lot of
have
short
longer
sleeve
sleeves.
shirts.
I always wear short sleeves. He says wearing a hoodie right now.
But I mean, if you have a bunch of tattoos, frequently people will dress in a way that shows off more of their tattoos.
I had a very long conversation with someone who has tattoos, but was afraid that I would judge his tattoos. And I said, don't worry, I will always judge your tattoos.
Yeah.
I just won't say it to your face.
You don't have to worry about it. Accept it.
But yeah, everybody in Ireland is very, very polite, very curious, very inquisitive, had a lot of questions.
Mhm.
Calverts were just very much a little boy of, why are you taking a picture of that building? It's a good looking building. I want to have a memory of it. Why? We don't have buildings like that where I'm from. Why not? I don't know, man. I didn't build the city. But why do you want a picture? So I can remember it.
Uh-huh.
Why did you? Hey, kid, what's your name? Calvert. Hey, Calvert, I'm Patrick. Do you have a family? Why are you out here talking to strangers?
My favorite part of that story is the follow-up.
In the library with the
Uh-huh.
yeah. So at the chess club, the woman who was actually running the chess club, who was very, very polite and gave us directions on other places to go, and she said, "Oh, it's just at the end of that block," which was like, a mile away. When I said, "Yeah, it's real interesting," there's a young boy came up to me to start asking questions. Oh, Calvert? Yeah, if I'm out jogging, he'll stop me and say, "Why are you running?"
That
And I have to say, "I don't know, Calvert. Why am I running?"
that detail is such a small town thing.
Yeah.
It's like a thing you'd see on like, My Cousin Vinny or something, like where it's just like, oh, everyone knows that kid.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that one kid who asks questions.
I made a reference to like, that kid had no fear, just came walking up to complete strangers and
Sure.
started talking. She's like, he's totally safe in this town. He can like run anywhere. He's fine.
Yeah. Everyone,
like-
everybody knows him.
Yeah,
so
but-
any stranger, he just must be someone he just hasn't met yet.
But these small country roads, people shoot down the middle of them. Some of these roads are not narrow enough for two
they've
cars.
They've got cars too.
Yeah, they do. They've got cars.
Weird.
There was
They're
a
called
high-end
lorries.
car dealer in this town that I could not fathom how it made any money there.
Wow.
It would be like seeing a Tesla dealer there.
Okay.
They had a small mechanic that also did used car sales, which I imagine some of you love cars.
Probably.
The wedding was lovely. I basically drank the entire time I was there. Went to many museums, many attractions, many tours, but went to comic shops.
Sure.
Now,
Again,
I met
for
up
tax
with
write-off purposes.
Challenger's patron and all-around wrestling and watching buddy Mike Lee,
Mhm.
who got the Ireland before I did, and he had gone to a store called Sub City, which I eventually wound up going to. But we went to roaming around on the way to Bruxelles, the bar that the Phil Lynott statue's at. We stopped at Elevation. There's two Elevations in walking distance of each other, and one of them's mainly a record store, and this one was a record and comic store.
Mhm.
We were checking everything, and it said it opened at 10:30.
Okay.
We were there at 10:50, and it wasn't open.
Great.
So as we were walking away,
Good
Mike's
start.
like, "Oh, somebody's going to open it." Like, all right, well, we'll come back in a few minutes.
Sure.
So they just had a couple of bins of books.
Uh-huh.
Everybody carries the same local comics, and it turns out they're made by the people at Sub-City Comics.
Okay.
In Dublin, there's about 6 stores, and then in the city proper,
Mhm.
and then like in Dublin City.
Sure.
But then Dublin, which includes the suburbs,
Okay.
that's where Big Bang is. Big Bang was a 2-tram ride out of the city to get there. Very packed tram rides. So, Elevation, I immediately found a Kiss Live bootleg album for 28 euros that I didn't buy. You know it's a bootleg because they can't use the logo. It just had, a font that said Kiss.
Sure.
But I thought about that damn album so much that we made a point to go back and pick it up on Monday. And when I was in there Monday and I'd left it right in the front of the case and it wasn't there, I'm like, I can't believe they sold it. Because the guy at the counter was like, do you want to? Because I'm like, look, man, this is one of my first stops of the day. I don't want to carry this all through the city.
Sure.
He's like, I can put it on hold for you. I go, yeah, but I can't guarantee I'm coming back, and I don't want to do that to you.
Right. You've had that done to you so many times.
So when we bought it on Monday, I wound up carrying it with me through the rest of the city.
Yep.
But I was able to use the tote bag I got from the bookstore we went to in Cloud Jordan, because when she learned that I owned a bookstore as well, she gave me a bag that in Gaelic says "Big Bag of Books,"
Perfect.
and it's, of course, most tote bags are perfectly record size.
Yeah, that's true.
So I had that, and also it was raining Friday and it wasn't raining Monday. So, and while the album was A, shrink wrapped, and B, in a plastic sleeve, I still didn't want to risk it
No,
in the rain.
not for.
I was also worried about it
€28.
getting back in the suitcase, but I assume it's fine. I haven't played it yet. I did open it though. It is just a live recording from, any guesses where in the country? I'm sorry, where in the world?
Dublin,
New York City.
Detroit, Rock City. What tour?
It looks like it's the Revenge era.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good era.
I mean, it's Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick.
It's a good lineup for
Yeah.
that band.
Yeah.
Some would say the best lineup. for
Some
that
might
band.
say my favorite lineup, which
That
is
would-
why I went
would
back
be
and
the
bought
one I
that.
would say would be the best lineup.
Which
for
is
the band.
why I went out and bought that album. Here's a generalization about Irish comic stores, and you have a take on it, which I don't think is fully correct.
Okay.
But they do not heavily stock single issue comics. They're all mainly graphic novels and toys and things. Now, when I say fully stock, they all have subscriptions, and they all will get any comic for subscribers.
Sure.
And they still do huge numbers on single issue comics. They just don't sell them off the rack.
Okay.
I want to say that Big Bang's new release section is like 4 feet wide and 5 feet high.
Okay.
Like basically
A quarter of what we would do.
Yeah. But I mean, that's everything. That's their whole single issue section.
Sure.
Not new versus old or whatever.
Okay, so an eighth of what we would do.
But they also have like 1,000% more action figures and toys than we do. We went to Forbidden Planet, which is huge and has everything imaginable as far as pop culture goes. Not just comics, mainly graphic novels. Very few single issue comics, mainly graphic novels, mainly manga, mainly blind bag stuff and knickknacks and swag and plunder. Multiple floors, 2 floors, but lots of different like level rooms and things.
Sure.
I was going to buy a Captain America button for my jacket, but they were out of it.
Oh.
They had the one on display, but that was all.
Whoops.
Yep. When I was in Sub City, who has a ton of manga, but very odd quantities of manga. Like if there's a series that has, say, 25 volumes, they'll have a ton of the middle ones.
Okay. That's not great.
Yeah. But there's a line of Marvel graphic novels that are made just for the European market.
Oh, cool.
And I picked up a Captain America Mad Bomb collection that the cover price on it was 10 euros.
Okay.
It was marked up, but they gave me a deal because of, like we talked about going to the toy stores, people just know who we are.
It's true. Did you show them your Captain America tattoo on your hand?
Everybody pointed out the Captain America tattoo and the Spider-Man tattoo.
Sure.
Strangers waiting for trains, people in bathrooms,
Okay.
people in airports. Yeah.
Do they not have tattoos in Ireland?
Not of superheroes.
Is it? Are they like branding each other with like hot
No,
brands?
we walked over. We found a bunch of
I'm
tattoo
pretty sure.
shops.
I'm pretty sure you went to a tattoo shop.
I, in fact,
Ireland.
got a tattoo when I was in Dublin. I went to a place called, I think, Black Hat. It was recommended because a friend of John's from Big Bang worked there, but she was not working there at that point when we thought she was going to. And rather than try to find somewhere else, I just got my tattoo there, and it was an enjoyable experience.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. To see the rot, no disguise. I got a super chunk tattoo, and I sent it to right away photos of two people I know who would get it right away. Dal Bush.
Yeah. Right away.
And Jen Haynes from The Dragon in Guelph, Ontario, who's also, it was the day before her birthday, and I told her it was in her honor. And she said, quote, "I love that album."
It's a good album,
Yeah.
and it's sadly relevant again.
Again, yep.
Unbelievably
Yeah.
relevant again.
On Monday, Bruno took the day off. He made John work for him. He asked John to work for him. They're both partners, just like you and I.
Yeah.
Business partners.
You didn't make me come in for you. I chose to come in for you.
And he took us around the city, just walking everywhere, because he's very young and very fit. And I'm old and tired, and my legs hated me every step of the way from that trip. But he called out the landmarks that he's seen, because he's been there for 18 years. He's not Irish.
Right. I would, if you're there for 18 years, we had this discussion Wednesday because I had that conversation at the dry cleaners. Would I consider myself a Chicagoan? Like, I wasn't born in Chicago. I wasn't raised in Chicago, but I've lived in Chicago for, over a decade. I feel like at that point you are wherever you live.
Sure, but there's a difference between a geographic location and a nationality.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a race or anything, but I think if you live in Ireland for 18 years, I think you're Irish at that point. I don't know. I assume Irish people would maybe feel differently about that, about whether or not someone can claim a nationality.
Yeah,
or racial identity for living in a place for a certain amount of time. 18 years seems like a long time
I
for
claim
me.
I'm American because I was born and raised in America.
Sure.
But my historical roots are not America.
Sure. But if you had dual citizenship and you lived in another country for 18 years, wouldn't you start to consider yourself at least equally that?
I don't know.
You'd never lose
It's
the
a moot
American
point.
part of your identity. I find it interesting.
You're just trying to fit in. Are you a robot?
It's been said. So you're saying?
What is cry?
So Bruno's not Irish, but he took you around to all the places that he knows?
Yeah. And Bruno likes to drink, and John likes to drink. John met up with us later.
In Ireland?
Yeah, go figure.
How unique.
Go figure. Yeah.
How do they fit in?
Anyway, I got to see Big Bang after being fans of theirs for years, and now you and I got into comics as our main line of work, right from the start of our working careers.
Sure.
A lot of other people have come to comics from different places.
Sure.
So in its current iteration, Big Bang is slightly younger than Challengers.
Okay.
They've both worked retail or things before that.
Okay.
I mean, Bruno has lived in Ireland longer than there's been a Challengers.
Right.
But Big Bang has only been a thing for, I don't know, I forget, like 14 years maybe?
Okay.
13, 12, over 10.
Mm-hmm.
It was easily my favorite story we went to out of all the stores we visited.
That's great.
And not just because of those gentlemen.
You're not biased.
They had the most younger readers YA stuff that I saw on the trip.
Cool.
As far as graphic novels for kids, it's the first thing you see when you walk in. They're literally trying to pull kids in as soon as they get in, the kind of way we have sidekicks to the left.
Sure.
A million toys, so many like great displays and things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tall store.
Yeah.
So they've got displays that can go up. I took a bunch of
Okay.
pictures for you. I don't know if you got a visual of the height.
I don't know if I did.
Every story we went into, well, okay, let me take that back. Not the elevations, but the other stores we went into were all busy. Forbidden Planet is right in the heart of downtown and right at the street where all the bus stops are, not the trams, but the buses.
Sure.
And there's massive lines in front of those bus stops.
Sure.
So they do killer business. Big Bang had a bunch of people in when we were in.
Mhm.
Elevation, the first one had one other person
Okay.
very briefly, and they left without me even realizing it.
Oh wow.
Subcity had a basement that held like back issues and stuff that I did not go down into. I had heard that they just started rearranging it. It's a little bit messy.
Okay.
And also, I'm like, I am not doing stairs right now. We've walked so far today. Please, God, let me sit down. A lot of our pub decisions were, hey, can we sit down?
Mm-hmm. That's a good criteria.
You know what they don't serve in England? Iced tea.
Yeah, that is weird.
I drank so much hot tea.
It doesn't seem like an overly complicated drink, nor one that requires ingredients that can't be sourced in Ireland. Well, with it including tea and ice.
Well, they don't give you a lot of ice.
That was told to me.
It's fine. It was fine. I had a lot of tea. It's just that it took the tea so long to be of a drinkable temperature that I think I should have just tried to ask for a glass of ice as well.
Maybe.
What I would do is if because they give you the steep pot and then you fill up your own mug.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would take the offered glass of table water
Mm-hmm.
and cut that into the tea as I was pouring it to cool down the
Interesting.
to cool down the temperature to make it easier to drink.
Sure.
What else about the Irish comic scene? There's not as many Irish creators that are just local in Dublin, but they're there.
Yeah.
I bought that graphic novel. It's already on my Captain America shelf. It's stuff material I have in 3 other formats,
Multiple formats.
including the single issues. But it's fun. That's the joy of it. We all buy. So I had a talk with a.
Oh, neat. So it's one of those. Looking at the spine of that Cap graphic novel,
Yeah.
it looks like it's part of one of those like parts work things where like you put them all together and the
Yes.
spines form one giant
Yes.
Marvel.
It's all
image.
different characters. It's all different time periods. It's all different storylines. But
This is volume like 36 or something.
yeah, it's deep into the run. But it's
Jeez.
Cap from the 70s.
And like I couldn't even tell you what image the spines are supposed to form because it's such a sliver of it.
Yep.
And I bet it's one of those like Gabriel Delotto kind of overly painted lightning highlights sort of
Yeah.
pictures.
So I was talking to a subscriber yesterday in Challengers since we're back in the country.
And thank you for talking to people when you're in the store, Patrick.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate
And this customer said, when am I going to stop? And I said, stop what? Just stop buying all these comics.
it.
And I go,
Shut up.
Marcus, let me tell you when to stop. When they don't make you happy. When you don't want to buy comics and own comics, read comics anymore. Are you excited to read comics? Yeah.
Then what's
then
the
keep buying
problem?
comics.
Yeah, Jesus.
Marcus, I was just in Ireland and I bought a Captain America graphic novel that I have in 3 other formats already. And I was excited about it. And I'm telling you about it now. And actually, I just told them about it before that.
Mhm.
And I go, and I just told you about it because I'm excited to own it, even though I read it a bunch of times and already have it in many other formats. And I got excited to have that version of it.
Mhm.
Now, do you feel that way about your books? Yeah? I'm like, you always go after different covers? You like the hunt? You like getting different things? Yeah. I'm like, then buy the comics.
Yeah.
When you don't have that love for it, when you don't feel like that, don't buy them. I'm never a fan of people buying comics out of attrition. I'm never a fan of people buying a book that they don't like and they say, well, I've always bought it, so I'll keep buying it.
Right.
Only buy it when you want to. But Jesus Christ, if you want to, buy it, read it, own it, read it again,
Mhm.
love it, read it again. And he was actually very, don't like when orders come in on days I'm going to be super busy.
At least it's the local pickup one. It looks like
I didn't even look at it. I just saw
it's
that
a
it
local.
came in.
It's a subscriber, and it's just a DC Finest trade.
Fine.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
We have a saying in our country as well. Difficult, lemon difficult.
Yep.
So I convinced him that there was no reason to think about quitting.
No.
We had another subscriber a customer, not a subscriber, who has decided that next year he's going to quit buying comics just because he has too many and there's no room.
Okay.
Like, but you can go cold turkey. Like he's like a good $80 a week guy.
Yeah.
And for him to just say, no, I'm done. Like, I get it.
I have enough comic books.
I get it. I feel like that's how most people are going to be. It's not going to be a slow attrition of leaving, like, just a few less. I think it's just going to be more like, done. Wash my hands of it. Walk away.
Got to the end.
It's just a thing I don't.
I can't really relate to it, certainly. like I can absolutely envision changes in my life that would necessitate or induce me to not read comics anymore. But I can't imagine just reaching a point and being like, no, I had enough of them. Like that, I can't imagine how that would work. Individual series and creators, yeah, sure. But like as a medium, no, I can't imagine it.
Right. Yeah. Same. That'd be like saying, you know what? I don't watch movies anymore.
Yeah, I'm just not going to watch any more TV shows. Okay. A whole medium, just writing it off.
Wrestling? No. No, thank you.
I mean, I can see that. I've done that before. They are canceling Rampage at the right time for me.
I was going to start this podcast by telling you that since you had a whole week off and I was out of the country, I assume you came stacked with topics.
Yeah, one thing I want to bring up, because this is the second time I've gotten this email from Skybound,
Yeah.
where it's Autobots and Decepticons versus spoiler. But every single cover is just Decepticons versus Decepticons. There's no Autobots on any of the covers to this issue.
No.
So stop telling me it's Autobots versus Decepticons when it's like, no, the covers you're showing me are Bruticus versus Devastator. Those are two different Decepticon groups. It's 11 different Decepticons fighting each other. Don't put Autobots in this. They're not in this. Arun. Anyway.
I assumed it was going to be Dinobots.
No. I mean, maybe at some point.
But I mean, there's a third thing, right?
Well, versus spoiler, I don't know. I mean, they
Oh wait, is Spoiler a Transformer?
no.
Does he turn into a sports car that has a really high spoiler? Like
It's-
that's kind of on the nose.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's weird that they haven't had like an Autobot named Spoiler. It just feels like it's just sitting there, you know?
There isn't one.
No, not that I
Have
can
I
remember.
invented my own Transformer?
You've I'll go to the TF Wiki. We'll go and find out.
Oh no,
Patrick,
I
I'm
did
going
this.
to keep talking
You
while
had-
we're doing this,
you had
but not about Transformers.
2 weeks to go to the Transformers wiki all on your own.
Not about, and I have. What's been really weird, and I think it's a symptom of that we're doing a lot of ordering into January, and that things are telescoped out for the holidays.
Yeah,
There really hasn't been much in the way of preview books being given out.
Yeah.
DC alone this week was like, no, like the spotlight books are New Gods #2, no preview. Challengers of the Unknown, no preview, and they never gave us a preview for #1. Like,
yeah, I read
and then
number
here's-
one.
I never saw a preview for it. It's not a great time for that sort of stuff. Like, I think there's a Legacy of Vader, Kylo Ren book that I think PRH was giving us a preview for, but I thought, I'm okay. I'm all right.
Wait, Kylo Ren is Vader. How does that even work?
Legacy of Vader. But yeah, it sort of sucks because like while there's a lot of new stuff coming out and things we're excited about, and you know, this week maybe didn't have a lot of new launches in it because the #1s were mostly like holiday specials, or
Also, next week there's 5 more holiday specials.
I saw
It was 5, then it was 4, and then it was 5 again. So I had to do a lot of editing.
So spoiler, there's a GoBot named Spoiler, but there's no Transformers named Spoiler.
Well, it can't have one because GoBots already had them. GoBots are the cooler ones.
But since the GoBots have been absorbed into the larger Transformers continuity, technically there is one named Spoiler.
Wait, have they?
Yeah, but like not in a way where the characters show up, but they'll reuse names and factions and stuff in some of the different fiction.
What
or
was the Optimus Prime of the GoBots?
Leader 1?
So is there no Leader 1 in
They've used
Transformers?
the Leader 1 name on different toys.
But not the same.
No, like Leader 1 was a jet, and they've like done a little jet guy called Leader 1. And then they've taken some of the more obscure
Wait,
GoBots.
so Leader
and
1
believe it
is
or not,
their
there are more obscure
designation,
GoBots.
their actual name?
Yeah, Leader -1. That was his name.
Wow, if that guy was just like a
They
total scrub infantry guy, what a horrible name.
They looked at Optimus Prime and went Leader 1.
One.
That's how creative the names
You
were for
name
the
your kid
GoBots.
Leader 1 and he becomes a janitor. That's
Although
set him up for ridicule.
the
There's nothing
Megatron,
wrong with being a janitor, but that just like
the
makes you call
Megatron
him-
character was a motorcycle who was named Psykill. Again, these are the GoBots names. Hard to believe that franchise lost to the Transformers, huh?
I thought they graciously gave them their
No.
names.
Nope.
Well, I can't say what I'm looking forward to that's coming out this week because I can't remember what it is anymore. I don't know what anything is.
You worked on the email just this morning.
Yeah,
Nothing comes to mind.
it was like last night, this morning is
That's
what
true.
it was.
Let me bring up that email and we'll see if we can find
Oh,
something.
that's okay.
Okay.
Just Christmas specials.
Just Christmas specials.
The new James Tynion book from Distillery.
A bloody love letter to the city.
Distillery is a book that a company, not a book,
No.
a publisher that seems like most customers of Challengers don't care about. As a
for
idea of a publisher that you want, because Distillery wants you to buy all Distillery books.
well, then
and
they're
everybody-
$9.
What's that?
And they're $9.
Yeah.
But like Distillery, for a company that's been around for a year, and really for us launched pretty big, I thought, with Somna. They're basically, their books sell like Boom numbers now.
Yeah.
And that's not great from
For
where we
growth,
started.
and it definitely makes us leery of new number ones.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Distillery does a great job of making it reasonable for us to take a risk on their new series because their issue 1 cover A is returnable. So we're not really going to get stuck with them. And they're usually a couple months between issues, so we'll have full sales data on issue 1 before we order number 2. So it's not just like we're ordering a ton of returnable copies of 1 and then being like, well, I guess we got to keep that up with 2 because we don't know how it's sold yet. But the sales have been bad for a lot of the recent books. So even ones that were like, there's no real risk, I just get sick of looking at them on the shelf. I get sick of looking at a giant stack of different Distillery number 1s and thinking, when can we send these back? When can we be done with this?
I brought it up as a way to tie back to Ireland as far as their thoughts on Distillery, but then I realized I never asked anybody.
Oh, no?
Nope. I thought I had something in my head, but
Did you mean to ask them about Distillery? Did you go there with that in your pocket?
I mean, we
You talk about the
retailers
industry,
talk
sure.
about the industry,
I get
yeah.
it. But I didn't know
Yeah.
if that specifically was like, sometimes people go to something like Comics Pro and they're like, I got to talk to people about this thing I have ideas about or concerns about or questions about. And you kind of like, aggregate a lot of responses to figure out like, what should I be doing differently or what does the industry think of this? So I don't know if you were like on the plane to Ireland, like Distillery. I got to ask them about Distillery
So
because they drink a lot.
here's a couple of things about John and Bruno and Patrick
Mhm.
from Challengers and Big Bang, respectively, is that as far as the industry goes, and I've thought this for a long time, like I heard Bruno on Off Panel with David Harper,
Mhm.
and I honest to God thought, did I write these answers? And Mike Lee, as an independent observer, said that basically Bruno and I are the same person.
Okay.
Like our attitudes and our thoughts are the same. But as far as doing our jobs go,
Okay.
John and I have the same thoughts about a lot of the same people.
Okay.
And we had very pointed discussions about books that both of us choose to no longer carry because of
Sure.
incidents with people in the industry, perhaps people they'd be more geographically closer to,
Sure.
and in some cases closer to.
Mhm.
But flipping a switch and saying, no, we're not doing that. And that is kind of rewarding to be like, no, it's not. You like other people agree with you. They're
Yeah.
the same way.
That's nice.
What was this one last thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, this is a terrible story for me to try to tell
Okay.
because I'm keeping the subject and the person out of it.
At least you put it all the way at the back of the podcast.
I did, and we'll end with this. John found out that I know someone in the industry, kind of in the industry, and who's someone who's very close to me as a personal friend, and that I never bothered to mention it because that is someone that they would do something with in a heartbeat, as in fly them over and do an event.
Wow.
So later that night, while we were in the pub closest to their store,
Mhm.
I said, let's try to FaceTime this person from
Mhm.
overseas
Oh, wow.
because it's the afternoon there. We can
Sure,
do this.
Yeah.
He's like, no, don't do it now. So I did.
So yeah, you can't be stopped at that
Yeah.
point.
Well, that person never answered,
Okay.
but it said, did you want to leave a FaceTime voicemail?
Oh, interesting.
Did you know you could do that?
I didn't.
So we recorded a video where I'm screaming into the phone, trying to overcome the bar noise, saying that, hey, this guy right here that I'm sitting with wants to do something, but I won't tell you what until I can talk to you about it later. And then I haven't talked to them since then.
Okay.
But it was one time he's like, wait, you know this person and you've never told me. Do you know what we could do with this? Like, no, I never bothered to think about what you could do with it.
Too selfish. Didn't think
So
about you.
with that very descriptive and very detailed story that everyone fully understood and was riveted by, I think we will end it here. My Irish adventures are over for the time being. Will I go back? I don't know. Probably. Will they come here? I hope. I certainly would love to show Bruno around my Chicago.
I just love the idea of getting more days off of this podcast. So you go there, they come here. Works for me.
Who's your guest going to be next week?
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.